So we are here to talk about the Work Trend Index. It's been an exciting month at Microsoft here. We celebrated the 50th anniversary. The celebration was amazing here at the beautiful Bay Area campus. And now they just released the Work Trend Index. I read the report and I think there's a lot to unpack here. So for anyone who does not know what Work Trend Index is, how would you explain it to them and why does it matter right now?
Yeah, so the Work Trend Index, or WTI
Right.
for short, is something we publish every April. So I get
Right.
excited about April because it gives us an understanding of how work is changing globally. It started years ago when we were managing COVID and trying to understand the transition from in work to remote work. But now we've got an AI spin on this survey. And what's amazing is it's a global survey. We add to it LinkedIn hiring information. We bring in insights from researchers, economists, scientists, and trillions of telemetry data signals we have from a product. And so it gives us this wonderful pulse on how work is changing globally. And so we do it every April. And this is the second year in a row we've really had a focus on AI and the role that AI is having on workforce.
What was your reaction when you first saw the Work Trend Index? Was there anything specific that hit you home, like as a leader, where you read it and you saw, oh wow, this is really going to change how we work?
Yeah, you know, with our company mission about empowering everyone on the planet to do more, the WTI report gives us an understanding of where society is headed and how we can contribute. So for me, what's interesting is to take a look at the 2025 report and understand what it's telling us about the evolving work trends. So for me, what it really says is that while we're a couple years into this AI disruption era, 2025 is going to be a pivotal year. We're talking seismic changes to how things are going to happen. And it all starts with this observation that about 82% of business leaders recognize that this is the year to pause, to step back and rethink overall strategy, how they're operating their businesses. And what I find most interesting is why are they suggesting we pause and rethink these things? And I think there are two things that come out of the report. One is the emergence of what we call agents. And we can think of these as like digital team workers. And these agents are awesome. They have the ability to do work on your behalf as an individual, but they can also do work on the behalf of our teams, our organizations. And the way this is going to play out is we're going to be working with these agents doing incredibly powerful things. So the rise of agents is certainly a major factor in 2025 being a pivotal year. But the other thing is this concept of a frontier firm. And this is really cool to me because what a frontier firm really is these are these leading firms that have intelligence on demand, but they also have these hybrid teams of humans and agents, which is kind of mind-boggling, almost science fiction-like, but it does usher in a whole new way of working. But what's really cool from a business perspective is that when you put these two things together, intelligence on demand and these hybrid teams, you have the ability to scale rapidly. You have the ability to work with more agility, and that ultimately means you're going to be able to generate results faster. It's really what we're in the business of helping people do, is to get the job done. And so the last thing I'd say that's really interesting is when you put these two things together, these frontier firms and the emergence of agents, what we find is about 82% of business leaders believe that they're going to increase their workforce capacity by bringing in these agents or these digital team members. And they're going to do it in the next 12 to 18 months. And this is going to be a radical change to the way we get work done globally.
Wow. My next question was about to be frontier firm, so I'm glad you just opened that up. So the word frontier firm seems so bold, but also a little intimidating. So I'm glad you cleared that out on what that is about. Are there any real world examples or any companies that have been doing that?
Absolutely. So if we look at the Bay Area, for example, the Bay Area has a tendency to be on the cutting edge of a lot of these trends. And the data certainly in the 2025 WTI report indicates that. So about 90% of Bay Area leaders think they're going to be adding digital team members or agents to increase capacity. So that sort of tells you we're a little bit ahead of the game, which is where we typically find ourselves. If we look at real world examples, Wells Fargo is a great one. For them, it was all about the speed of discovering information. So they're using agents to make 35,000 bankers and 4,000 locations actually faster at being able to discover information. Because in this game, if you can get the information faster, you can drive those insights, you can make those decisions. Again, you're going to be able to deliver.
And you win.
You win.
Wow.
Well, and that's I love the framing, you win. when we look at the evolution of organizations, we think in the next 2 to 5 years, everybody's going to be trying to be a frontier firm. And so for people who want to be competitive, who want to be on the cutting edge, this is the moment. It's not about playing it safe. This is the moment to lean into agents, to lean into these digital team members.
So as someone, as I mentioned before, someone who's been at Microsoft just for over 28 years and who is a leader here at Microsoft Bay Area, are there any habits or are there any things that you've picked up in your personal life or just to make yourself more productive, or how have you, kind of walked the talk?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, one of the things I've learned over 28 years is you've got to be listening to how things are changing. And I go back to last year's WTI report, which talked about the need for people to really embrace AI and experiment. And so I very quickly set a goal for myself. Every day I ask myself, how am I using AI to get my job done? Or how am I using AI in my private life? And so I am constantly looking for opportunities. And some of these opportunities go really, really well, in which case that's great. And some fall flat. And I think there's even learning there. So I would just say every day I'm looking for an AI opportunity. And it might be using Copilot to catch up on a meeting. It might be using Copilot in Word to quickly get a draft out there. But I challenge myself every day. And the weekends are included. So I'm thinking about my daughter's soccer team or Girl Scouts or just organizing a family trip. I'm always asking myself, how can AI make me more successful, make this faster, make this better?
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So now you are you've found a sweet spot for yourself, which is for both your personal and professional life. And I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I think that the data shows that we all need to do this. Like, this is the big insight, is that if you're sitting on the sidelines and say, wow, this AI thing's a fad, you're probably going to be left behind. And so for me, I just challenged myself, and I challenged my daughter, I challenged my wife, like, hey, how can we use AI to get ahead? How can we do this thing faster, better, get better results? And again, it's a learning opportunity, but the important thing is we're sharing information. And so when I do something and it works, I tell my peers. When they do something that works, they tell me. And even if it doesn't work, we're still sharing that information, so collectively we're getting more skilled at AI.
You mentioned briefly that we need to see and we need to shift our mindset from AI taking our jobs or AI replacing everyone to AI being a collaborator or a teammate. And that's where we are heading. And that's how I understand what you're talking about, right? Can you expand on that? Yeah.
So if we think about the guidance we can give people on how to transform their businesses into these frontier firms, because everybody wants to deliver results faster. A lot of it starts with finding a way to get AI broadly distributed through your organization. The way I would think about it is maybe 2024, people would deploy AI in pockets. And they would let those pockets learn, and they would learn from them, and then they would expand. I think in 2025, the data with frontier firms is you've got to accelerate this. You have to get AI out to your entire organization. And to do that requires a couple of things. One is obviously skilling. We have to take the incredible talent we have in our companies, and we have to give them new skills to be able to work in this world. And this is where we're talking a lot about AI skills. And what's great is WTI tells us 51% of managers think that AI skilling is going to be a top priority for them.
Oh, wow, 51?
51, which is great, because if you look at the 2024 report, the numbers were substantially lower. And so
this just 1 year.
In 1 year, that's the rate of change here, is that people really are advancing. The other thing that's really interesting on the WTI report is in 2024, the employees were actually leading the leaders in the organizations in terms of really understanding how AI can play a role. 2025, this has shifted. The leaders now are the ones who have more exposure to agents. They're thinking more long-term about the role that agents and AI can play. And so it's great to see them coming to this point where, hey, AI skilling is incredibly important to help our existing employees transition into these new roles. At the same time, they're probably going to have to hire new people, because with these new ways of working with these hybrid teams, you need people to be able to manage a team of agents, to be able to design the agents, to be able to evaluate those agents. And so there's going to be this new proliferation of jobs that we're going to have to staff, which means we're going to have to train. And it's going to be very, very exciting.
So on behalf of all the Gen Z and the millennials, I would like to ask you, if they have to jump on this train and get into leading organizations like Microsoft, how should they shift their habits, or what should they focus on in order to like get ahead and just make sure that they are some of the best hires that companies like Microsoft are looking for?
Yeah, so I'll answer this two ways. One is sort of looking at 28 years at Microsoft and understanding what are some of the common characteristics of people who do really well and get ahead both inside and outside Microsoft. And I think it starts with people who are comfortable with being in ambiguous situations, not knowing what's around the corner. And that's easy to say, hard to do, but I think that that skill is incredibly, incredibly important. The other skill that's incredibly important is to have that curiosity, remain flexible, because you never know what's going to happen. And so I think that both of these generations have this, like, you've lived it.
Yeah.
The whole time it's been ambiguous, and you had to be flexible and roll with it. So I think that gives these generations a leg up in terms of being prepared for the AI disruption we're going to see, not just today, tomorrow, but the next 5 to 10 years. So I think you're building core skills. Now, what do you do about it? For me, it's all about becoming an AI expert. All the research, all of it says people with AI skills are going to do better than people without. Again, if we look at last year's WTI, 82% of Bay Area leaders would rather focus on hiring people with AI skills than not.
82%? These numbers are
it's crazy.
Up the roof.
87% would rather hire somebody with AI skills and less experience than someone with no AI skills and lots of experience. And so when you take that data and you take the 2025 data, the data is pretty clear. We have to get this group to be the world's experts in AI.
Wow, so things are moving fast.
Incredibly fast. And in your generation, because you're used to this ambiguity and the flexibility, if you dedicate yourself to tinkering and playing with AI and demonstrating what works and what doesn't work, it's going to set you folks apart. And that's going to be the key. So I look at it as a no regrets investment. Go become the world's leaders in how to use AI and think of new creative ways of doing it, creative ways of solving problems. That's what I would do.
When you talk about AI, it's not just technical aspect of it. When I started just, as you said, tinkering, I love that word, with AI, I felt almost like creative, like a creative outlet to me where there's no, like the possibilities are infinite. Like there's no limit for me and I can just go in any direction that I want.
I love that observation because it reminds me of when I was a little boy, I got a Commodore VIC-20 and it was my first computer.
Wow.
It's in the Computer History Museum. That's how old it is. But I remember that there was that sense of magic is I could create something that was almost hard to imagine, like that I could do this. And for the first time, AI gets me back to that little boy magical experience where like I can create things that I never really believed I could. And so I think you're spot on is that the more we lean into this, we can do more than we think. That's the amazing thing is our potential here is for the first time, I think we're really understanding what we can bring to the game.
So what I'm learning from you is that would be, if there's anything that people who are looking to join the industry or people who are early in the career is to lean in it, to embrace it and just go for it rather than just standing at the back end and being kind of skeptical about it.
Absolutely, because you have the ability to help everybody move things forward.
Right.
Like you're going to think about things differently. You're not going to sit there and say, well, 15 years ago we did it this way. You're going to look at it today and say, here's all this amazing technology. Here's how I can do it faster. I can do it better. And that's the kind of insight that every hiring manager is looking for. We want those talented people who can help us move the businesses forward because they bring that creativity, the comfort with ambiguity, the flexible mindset, the curiosity, and they complement it with the AI skills. It's all about getting those AI skills.
No, this is amazing. Thank you for expanding on that. So I think to just wrap it up, the last question would be, and kind of just for our viewers, is where can they learn more about Work Trend Index, and if they're interested to just, let's say, in the Microsoft Bay Area, to work in the Microsoft Bay Area and out of obviously a beautiful Silicon Valley campus, then where should they check it out?
Yeah, so there are a couple of great resources. So we've got the Work Lab, Microsoft Work Lab. That's going to have all the Work Trend Index data. It's freely available. You can easily download it, but it's definitely your one-stop shop for all things WTI. The other thing is we've got a great Microsoft Bay Area blog that I would encourage everybody to check out. And then I try to be as active as possible on LinkedIn. I love hearing from everybody about how they're thinking about work, technology, how they're using our products. And so please follow me on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, Sean, for your time today. I think I had a wonderful time just unpacking everything about Work Trend Index, and I'm sure our viewers will also take away a lot from it. I can't wait to be back walking around the campus with you, asking you more insightful questions. And there's just something amazing about getting wisdom of someone who's seen everything in the tech industry. So I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you again.
Oh, thank you. This was a great time. Look forward to the next one.
Okay.
Thanks so much.